Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the interior of my X1. As you can tell, it's getting a little chilly here over here in Toronto. The winter season is coming, and of course this BMW X1 is going to be put to the test. But of course I want to properly kind of reintroduce some of the maintenance and cost breakdown that I have done so far to this car. And let me tell you, I'm not that happy about it, and I'm not that proud of it either, because partly it's my fault. I was a little bit too hasty when buying this car. Let's get into my office so that we could take a look at the breakdown. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dale, and today we're going to talk about my recently purchased BMW X1. Now, if you haven't been following, I recently purchased a 2012 BMW X1 with 138,000 kilometers on it. I bought it off the marketplace on Facebook. Now, at that time, it was fairly priced for all the X1s that I looked at, and it was the best candidate at that time. I've been driving it for quite some time now, and it honestly has been a very pleasant ride. Now, what hasn't been pleasant is, of course, the maintenance. When I went to purchase the car, I was a little bit head over heels over the color combination and the low kilometers on the motor. Bringing it back home, I noticed that the brakes were shot and that the rear handbrake shoe was not working properly. Now, what makes these BMWs always so attractive is when it's all said and done, when the maintenance is all the way, it drives like a dream. Of course, having mods on the BMWs makes it a little bit more sexy and appealing, but what keeps it going is, of course, the upkeep. Now, having said that, I went ahead and changed out the rotors for the front and back, and of course got new brake pads for the front and rear. What's still pending is installing new shocks and of course installing the new rear parking brake shoes. Of course, when I get this all said and done, I'm pretty sure that this is gonna be infinitely better than it is now. Now, breaking down all the costs, the breakdown goes as follows. The rear rotors were by Zimmerman, and that costed me $176 for the pair. The front rotors were Brembo rotors, and it cost me $177.40 for the pair. The rear Zimmer brake pads were around $57.50. The Bilstein rear shocks were $330, and a new cabin air filter from MAN was $49.35. You might be thinking, what about the front brake pad? This is another lesson within itself. When I took the car for a safety inspection, the technician in there, he wanted me to get the front brake pad service before handing me the certificate, and he installed some aftermarket brand that I am not aware of, which leads me to think that this is a little bit sketchy and a little bit scary, but knock on wood, nothing has bad happened yet. Of course, looking back, this did cost a good chunk of change, but what I did save on was the labor. I took all the parts that I purchased recently, I went back home and I asked my uncle and my cousin and just do the install by ourselves. What's great about this platform is that all the DIYs are readily available on the internet for you to take a look at. With that being said, this was relatively straightforward if you have the right tools. One thing that I did want to bring up was the fact that the rear brake pad, for some odd reason on the passenger side, it only grabs the top portion of the rear rotor, and I honestly took it apart, I cleaned it, I sanded off some of the surface rust on the brake caliper, and still it only catches the top portion of the rear rotor, which is very weird. So if you know what's going on, please leave a comment section down below and let me know how to fix this. For the real problem on the BMW X1 is its infamous N20 motor. I completely messed up on this one. I should have did more research. I should have did more digging on the forums, but I came across this one article where from 2012 to 2015, the BMW X1 with the N20 motor has a timing chain issue. Yes, unfortunately, the timing chain does seem to crap out on itself, and when it does, some bits and pieces may fly into the engine, causing it to seize up. Of course, I did reach out to my local trusted indie repair shop, and they quoted me around like $3K for the timing chain service. To my knowledge, if you get this done, it will be good for another 100,000 kilometers or so. And honestly, this is not really the right thing for BMW to do, to just neglect their customers thinking that the N20 motor is not at fault, but it is. Apparently in the United States, there is a lawsuit that has passed. So if you are in the United States and have the N20 motor, go ahead and get your claims in, because I think they're still accepting applicants, but I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. I just came across this information on the internet. There is kind of like a silver lining to this. My motor is still relatively low in kilometers. Now I know 138,000 isn't low, but for a 2012 model, it's a little low for its age. But of course, this is no excuse to skip this service. I went ahead and checked the timing chain, and it doesn't really have that big of a slack. So I think if I drive it more carefully and not really abuse it, I could get away for another 50,000 kilometers. Don't quote me on that. But then again, this gives you no excuse to skip that timing chain service. Of course, this is going to be at the top of my list. It's such a bad timing in my opinion, since the holidays is just around the corner, and I honestly purchased this vehicle thinking that it's going to be, you know, smooth sailing, which is of course not when it comes to BMWs. So if you have an N20 motor, I urge you to take it to your local shop and make sure that your timing chain is serviced so that you're not sweating bullets. And unfortunately, that's why these BMWs are always so cheap to get into. There's so many different BMWs that are in the used car market that needs this amount of work done. And of course, not a lot of people can source their own parts and work on their own cars like myself or even you. Again, it's one of those things that, you know, you ask yourself, is it worth it? And are you going to keep it for long? Just like my E46, I still hold on to that car for dear life, and I don't see myself letting it go for anytime soon just yet, due to the fact that it means a lot to me. It definitely is a vehicle where it is a gem in my eyes, and I don't think I can part ways with it. So yes, we do have some work for this car. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this car handles during the winter season. I, on top of that, also want to get rust proofing done underneath the car. The previous owner of this car didn't really take care of it during the winter time, and it's quite evident when you see the surface rust on some of the parts. So there you have it, guys. Let this video be a lesson for you to watch out for cheap BMWs out there, and don't be me. Honestly, I was head over heels. I let my gut feeling take over me. I fell in love with the color combination, and at that time, this was, like I said, the best BMW X1 in the market. Once again, if you haven't already done so, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channels. I'm almost at 10K over there on TikTok. Aside from that, let me know what you want to see next in the comment section down below. But until then, see you next time.